Do you think you need to move to a Spanish-speaking country or take formal classes to learn the Spanish language? I hear this question all the time, and the truth is, you don't have to do any of those things. I think anyone can learn Spanish on their own from the comfort of their home. First off, I think we should get clear on what exactly learning Spanish means because I know that can be very vague. To me, learning Spanish is about learning vocabulary. Then there is learning about Spanish grammar, pronunciation, learning how to understand Spanish speakers when you are listening to them, and learning how to speak Spanish in general. One thing that I love to do at home to learn Spanish is to read in Spanish. And I do that fairly simply just by reading a book, for example. So currently I am reading this book here, Fundación. I actually have about 10 pages left, and I think reading is an amazing way to learn Spanish grammar very naturally. Because honestly, these days, I'm not a huge fan of just opening up a Spanish grammar book and learning that way. I like to learn grammar in context. For example, this line says, preferiría no haberle hablado nunca de todo esto. So I'm sure just with that one line in itself, there are various grammar concepts, but I'm not learning it from the grammar textbook or my grammar book, but I'm learning it directly in context. So I don't really have to think by rules. I'm just learning exactly how to place the words and knowing exactly how to say that sentence. I also love to read because I can practice my pronunciation skills. Arden interrumpió secamente. Por desgracia, los anacreontianos tienen todos los requisitos elementales. Besides reading books in Spanish, I love to read the comments of Spanish speakers on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I like reading the comment section because many Spanish speakers are always telling so many jokes. And that helps me to do the same thing and to learn Spanish that is less formal. Anytime that I look something online, like do a Google search, I make sure that that is always in Spanish. So let's say that I look something up about a fitness routine or renting an apartment or going on vacation. I make sure that I type that in Spanish because every single time you do that in a Google search, for example, you will always receive websites and responses that are in Spanish. Now, this allows me to learn vocabulary from a lot of different topics, and it allows me to stay in Spanish mode because just imagine how often are you spending hours upon hours searching things online in your native language. I love to speak Spanish around my home, and I do this simply by describing everything that I see and everything that I'm doing. So, como en este momento, yo veo afuera de mi casa, yo veo mis vecinos hablando y caminando. Yo veo unos carros estacionados. Hay árboles. También hace mucho calor y por esta razón me pongo una camisa así. Y yo tengo mi acondicionador, yo creo que eso es la palabra, encendido, algo así. As you can see right there, speaking aloud helps me to figure out what I do not know how to say in Spanish very fast. And there are plenty of things that I do not know how to say. When I'm speaking Spanish and I don't know a word, I just open up my dictionary and look it up and learn a new word just that easily. However, if there are full sentences that I do not know how to say in Spanish, this is where I leverage reading. For example, por ejemplo, do you have any idea how to explain folding clothes in Spanish? I don't think I do. Time to go to Google. Now I'm on the WikiHow Español website, and the title of this article is Cómo doblar la ropa. Alright, step 1. Haz que tus camisetas sean lo más compactas posible. Coloca la prenda boca abajo y lleva la mitad izquierda de la camiseta al centro. Dobla la manga corta de modo que quede orientada hacia el borde exterior de la camiseta. So the next time that I'm folding my clothes, I can reference this article here and then try to repeat exactly what I am reading. And I don't know what everything in that article meant, but that's why I like to write new words down in a notebook. For example, I don't know what manga means, la manga. I think maybe that's like your sleeve or something like that. but that is just another amazing way to learn new vocabulary. And the same thing when I'm cooking as well. There are so many things that I don't know how to explain in Spanish when I'm cooking, many different recipes or even different tools that I'm using as well. Let's say that I am hirviendo agua en una olla para mi arroz. So let's say that I am boiling water for my rice in a pot. Y estoy platicando en español, claro, pero después de eso yo saco esta herramienta. So then I take out this, but then it's a little bit hard for me to continue to speak Spanish because I have no idea what this thing is called in Spanish. And then the same thing como con la acción. So usually in English, I would probably say something like scoop. So scoop in Spanish is, I don't know. So that's another word that I don't know. So as you can see here, I'm talking about reading in Spanish. I'm talking about speaking Spanish. That does not mean that you know every little single thing, but you are learning along the way. Just as you can see me doing right now, I'm trying to piece all these words together so I can make sentences. And what I don't know, I'm just going to be looking up later. You know what? I also have no idea how to say this in Spanish. So if you do, please let me know in the comment section below. I like to use sticky notes to learn and remember new Spanish vocabulary. So let's go back to the cooking example. Let's say that I am cooking and there are many different things that I don't know how to say in Spanish. All I would have to do is put a lot of sticky notes on the walls, and then I would be able to look at them while I'm cooking to remember that word and then start to use it when I'm cooking, when I'm explaining what I'm doing in Spanish. And again, I can repeat this process in many different ways. For example, you can't really see it right now, but there is a little bookshelf over there, and I remember when I bought it, I was like, you know what? I have no idea how to say the process of making or building a bookshelf in Spanish. So then I looked it up, and the same thing with tools. I didn't know many of the names of tools in Spanish. The possibilities are endless. If I'm not speaking aloud in Spanish, then I am thinking in Spanish. And when it comes to thinking in Spanish, I'm doing the same thing as I would if I was speaking, but just in my mind. I'm still describing and narrating everything that I see. When it comes to learning how to speak Spanish at home, of course, I'm not just reading and that's it. I mean, even to get to the level that I have right now, I have consumed a lot of content in Spanish, and I've also had many conversations in Spanish as well with native Spanish speakers, all from my home. I listen to music in Spanish all the time, and I'm usually dancing a little bit as well. But I love to listen to cumbia, corridos, banda, mariachi, salsa, bachata, and the list goes on and on. I listen to podcasts in Spanish, I watch YouTube videos in Spanish, and I also watch movies and TV shows in Spanish as well. And it's not like I consume all those things every single day. Some days I'm just listening to music and maybe watch a few YouTube videos and that's it. Or other days I'll watch a TV show, I listen to music, and I'm listening to podcasts, but maybe I just won't watch a YouTube video. So it really just depends on my schedule and how I feel that day. Now, by consuming this content, I'm really adapting my ears to the Spanish language because I'm constantly listening to native Spanish speakers. And not only that, I'm listening to Spanish speakers from different Spanish-speaking countries. So from Mexico, from La República Dominicana, from España, from Guatemala, Honduras, the list goes on and on. And this is really good because not only am I learning some basic pronunciation rules, but I'm also learning about accents as well, because there are a variety of different accents and dialects in the Spanish language, depending on which country that you are in. And that makes a big difference. I've also been able to learn about the culture of many different Spanish-speaking countries, and this is important because if you didn't know yet, language and culture are intertwined, and I say inseparable. So it's actually very important to learn the culture of a particular Spanish speaking country to really understand the way that they speak Spanish as well, and in turn affects the way that I speak Spanish. I'm also improving my listening comprehension skills as well, because if I'm listening to one topic, let's say just for a week, maybe I won't really understand it. There's a lot of new vocabulary that I've never heard before, so I won't really understand it that much. But let's say that I'm listening to the same topic for months and months and months. I'm learning new vocabulary. I get that repeated exposure to all that new vocabulary. Then it becomes easier and easier to pick those words out over time. Thinking in Spanish and talking to myself in Spanish, of course, are great skills to have. But then when it comes to communicating with another Spanish speaker, that level is just a lot higher. It's more difficult to do. But thankfully, we have technology these days that give us a lot of applications to speak with other native speakers. I've used HelloTalk, which is a language exchange application that has helped out a lot to improve my communication skills with another human being. As well, I've used ITALKI as well. You can see some of the lessons on my YouTube channel here. I will put a few of them in the description box of this video. As well, I use WhatsApp to have conversations with my Spanish-speaking friends. Anytime that I want to learn more about the culture of a Spanish-speaking country, I want to learn a specific accent of a Spanish-speaking country, learn more vocabulary, increase my listening comprehension skills. Now I have full confidence that I can do that completely from home without ever leaving. Although it is challenging to learn Spanish at home, there are so many resources that are available to me to help me reach this goal. Now, if you are already learning Spanish at home, but you feel kind of stuck, watch this next video to learn how I became a fluent Spanish speaker.